Hello and welcome to Plot Twisters.
This is a podcast where we take movies and twist the plot to see if we can make them better, and if not, spacier.
At the moment, we're talking about teen movies from the 90s.
On this episode, Starship Troopers from 1997.
I'm Anderson. I kill bugs good.
I'm Emma. I need a corporal. You're it until you're dead or I find someone better.
Thanks for the promotion. What a terrible way to promote people within the military. You're it, I guess, till you're dead.
I was about to say that what a dark way to start this episode, but then I thought, do you know what? Actually, no, that's kind of fitting for how the rest of it's gonna go, I imagine, because this film's really dark in a way, but also kind of funny and weird.
You know what I like about movies? Here's what I want in a movie. If I was, stood in front of a mega computer that could produce any film imaginable,
yeah,
I would punch in the following things. Beep, boop, 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 boop. If it's possible, Drew Barrymore. Boop, 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 boop. Funny. Boop, 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 boop. Horrific. Boop, 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 boop. Ending that's ambiguous. Everything in this film happened except for Drew Barrymore. That's the worst part about this movie. No Drew Barrymore.
Guy getting stabbed in the head with a weird, claw thing,
Yeah.
and then his brain sucked out that as well, right? like a hole punch.
Yeah, just
in the top of the head.
That scene is like, that thing where it's like
yucky.
5 kitchen gadgets as seen on TV tested,
Oh God. Oh no.
The thing with
instruments of death.
To be fair, if you're going to suck a brain, we'll get to it in a second. Everybody just calm down. Sit down in your spaceship. If you're going to suck a brain, you need it. That's an efficient way to do it. Am I wrong? Prove me wrong. Hey Emma, I got a question.
Yep.
That thing that is the thing that we do that is our podcast and the formula wherein we have honed and refined and perfected and polished like a trophy that we put on our mantle, which is, I remember a movie that I watched from the 90s and then I make you watch it and then we talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I'm familiar.
Cool. What the heck's going on? Why did we watch this movie, Starship Troopers, that I've never seen before? Have we been hacked?
Anders,
What's happened?
Funny you should say that. This movie, Starship Troopers, is our first fan request film. Wow.
We have a fan.
Isn't that great?
That's great.
It only took us 50 episodes to get a fan.
Yay.
Happy 50 episodes, by the way.
Oh, happy 50th.
Yeah. So this request came in from Dan, and he sent in the following message.
Hello, Plot Twisters. My name is Dan. First-time listener, long-time caller. My request for you is to watch and twist one of my favourite prom-com films, Starship Troopers. But wait, I hear you exclaim, Starship Troopers? Isn't that a sci-fi film? A war film that highlights the absurdity of the American military complex through propaganda and parody videos and gory fight sequences, while also holding up a mirror to the needlessness of the futuristic colonial invasion against a mainly peaceful species while looking to protect itself? Yes, it is, but it does have a prom in it. So I hope you enjoy. Looking forward to the twist. Bye.
Wow, thanks, Dan. Thanks for sending in the request. And thanks for making us watch this film.
Hey, Dan. You know what I never really thought I'd want to see, and now I can verify I didn't want to see? Somebody's brain being sucked out by an alien, monster bug. Thanks for making me watch the most horrific thing I've watched in quite some time and haunting my dreams.
We did just watch Idle Hands. No, Idle Hands was worse. Sorry, Idle Hands was worse for me. Anyway.
Idle Hands was worse? This movie, every 10 minutes, somebody was stabbed through the body by a giant bug.
Well, you say why you think... Wait, should we... Okay.
Okay, no.
I was gonna say, you should say why you think it was worse, then I'll say why I think it's better, and then we'll recap what happened.
Fine. All right. I'm going to give you an audio explanation. Bug punched through your face. All the gore, people's heads were getting blown off and chewed off, and people were getting poked with. The bugs are so sharp. The thing that made it
Very
so gross
bugs,
is so sharp. These bugs are as sharp as knives, and they're apparently impenetrable. And they made me feel uncomfortable because bugs and also the stabbing, and also all of the blood. That's why.
Oh my god, he's dead. He's dead. They're all dead.
Rico, no, the bugs. This has been an audio experience brought to you by Emma and Anders. We hope you've enjoyed the show. Please. Leave us a review on
And remember to renew your $12.99 a month subscription to our audio service called weirdnoises.com / blood and murder. I see your point. I hear your point.
Pun intended.
Point heard, pun intended. I think Idle Hands was worse because you know the people more.
No.
The violence was like drawn out and torturous for each person and very like detailed. Whereas I think the violence in this, maybe I've just been ruined by video games. Maybe I've played too many violent video games and it's desensitized me or whatever it is that they say. You know, it's like, violent video games. You know, when it's but when it's not like real threat and it's just a bunch of very obviously fake bugs, and then people very obviously like dying in very obviously fake ways. That doesn't.
You were fine with that.
I don't know if I was fine. I mean, there's certainly bits where it's like,
100,000 people died in the first battle on Clandathu, and they basically showed every one of those people dying.
This is the thing, though. I think this is the difference between you and me. One of the many differences is I think I'm better at remembering that it's not real than you are. Because with stuff like this, I'm just like, okay, well, it's just some CGI, and you're like, I'm watching 100,000 people.
I get sucked into the magic of cinema, so sue me, right? When I see it on the screen, I fully immerse myself because I've got a hyper. I'm just a little boy. I'm just a child in a grown-up's body, and I still marvel at the wonder of the world.
And I'm an old woman, jaded, old, world-weary, cynical, depressed.
Yes,
I'm an old soul.
Yeah,
that's why this dynamic.
That's why this works. I'm old, but I feel young. You're young, but you're an old soul. Together, we can watch bad movies from the 90s and, have similar yet different perspectives. Both, okay, can we just agree that both the last two movies we watched have been just gory and bloody and, not quite, they've been, what's the opposite of unsettling? No, what's the opposite of settling? Unsettling. That's what it is. Having said that,
yeah.
I think I understand why Dan told us to watch this movie, because it is a high school movie and there was a prom and they are teenagers. But what he didn't say was, and also bugs. Okay, so, I give you 10 points because of the teen parts, and you lose 972 points because all of the murder bugs, and the whole thing about like the army and the weird, scary nihilist future.
Is it a thing that we rate the people who send in fan suggestions to us on the quality of their suggestion?
Yeah.
Cool. That sounds like a great. Yeah. Okay.
Get ready to be judged. A person who decided to send us a recommendation. Thank you, by the way.
Very nice, generous person.
Hey, thanks.
Who's invested their time in our work.
Thanks so much for the email.
Taken the time to.
Thanks so much for the email, you jackass.
And if you want to send in your own recommendation, you can email plottwisterspod@gmail.com, and we will be very nice and polite about it. Recap the movie, Anders.
All right, here we go. All right, I'm going to give it to you straight up, all right? If anybody hasn't seen Starship Troopers yet, and you're fine with blood and stabbing bugs, I'll rate it later, but I will tell you it's definitely a watch. This is a new segment. It's called, Is It a Watch from Anders or No? Ding, ding, ding. It's a watch, okay? Because it was ridiculous. This movie is insane. It's ridiculous, all right? But in summary, here's what Starship Troopers is all about, in case you hadn't seen it, and I hadn't seen it until we watched it for this podcast. It starts in a high school. You got 5 high school buddies: Johnny Rico, Dizzy, Carl, Ace, and Carmen. Some of those people, by the way, played by very famous people: Neil Patrick Harris. You got Denise Richards in this movie, and Jake Busey, who plays Ace Levy. Oh, that's clearly Gary Busey's son. I don't know if you noticed that, but he's got a strong Busey vibe to him. But anyway, so 5 friends, they're in high school. They're talking about the future. But speaking of the future, this movie's set in the future. There's some weird, crazy military future where you have to join the army to be a citizen. So the 5 friends are basically like, we're all going to join the army, I guess. They all join in different fields. The movie centers around Johnny Rico, who's in the infantry, and he gets sent off pretty quickly after base camp. He and Dizzy Flores, they get sent off to a battle against the bugs on their home planet, Llandethu. Am I saying it right? Llandethu? Is it like a Welsh village?
I'm not a fluent speaker myself, so I'm probably
Right.
not the best person to ask. Write in if you do know how to pronounce it.
But yeah, so however you pronounce it, they go to the home world of the bugs to fight the bugs, and that's where they discover, oh man, these bugs are hard to kill. They're bad, they stab you, and they're really tough. Basically, as I said, 100,000 people die in the first battle. All of their whole platoon is basically wiped out, except for Johnny Rico and Dizzy and a couple of other people. They go and join another group, the survivors, an elite group of soldiers called the Rough Riders, right? Because they're the ones who lived. And so they join the Rough Riders. The head of the Rough Riders, by the way, is their high school teacher. They don't acknowledge it at first, but it's a bit like, oh yeah, you're that guy who was our teacher. I think at this point, or maybe earlier, at some point around this time in the movie, their hometown in Buenos Aires is destroyed by the bugs, and so they now are sad, and all their family is dead, and they have an even bigger reason to fight the bugs. So they're with the Rough Riders. They get just some distress call from another planet that's also bug infested. So they go to this distress call. They turn up and they're like, "What's up, humans? Everything okay?" Nope, everybody's dead. They're all dead except for one guy, and the one guy is the general, and the general goes, those bugs that are hard to kill? They're also smart, and they're sucking our brains. And Johnny Rico's like, what? And then the military guy is like, it's happening. They're sucking our brains. And then more bugs come, but they get away, and then there's an explosion, and they all end up almost dying from bugs. But it's fine because they stop the bugs when they realize they catch the big bug, and he's a giant, like, school bus sized bug who is the one who's sucking all the brains, and they realize that the bugs are smart, but they blow him up because he's scared. And then in the end, they go, we won this battle. But then it ends with an ad for a commercial for people to come and join the army because the war isn't over, and you realize that the war is still going, nothing has changed. Most of them died. War is bad, and they just keep on fighting them bugs. In summary, it's a bunch of high school kids who go to the prom, and then later they kill a bunch of bugs, and most of them die. Starship Troopers. It's a movie about bugs.
Man versus bug.
Man v. Bug. It's one of the 7 famous stories that like Shakespeare and like Greek mythology invented. Man versus man. Man versus himself. Right?
Man versus God.
Man versus God. And then man versus bug. It's the other one.
So it's a sci-fi. That's what it is.
Yeah, this is a science fiction. This is science fiction movie.
Yeah. Fictional science. Yep.
Unless sharp bugs that kill us all are real. And if so, what little sleep I get now, I will give up, whilst I huddle in fear, clutching a space rifle that will do nothing against the sharp, strong bugs.
But the thing is, and I mean, this may be completely wrong, but it's never stopped me before.
Right.
something like the probability of there being other life out in the universe versus the probability of us actually ever meeting that other life.
Whoa.
You know, it's like they probably do exist, but it's extremely unlikely that we'll ever come across them. Does that help?
What you're saying is, theoretically and realistically, there are sharp murder bugs, but the chances of us engaging in conflict with them is low?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean that when I go to sleep I will be able to close my eyes without thinking about the sharp bugs. And fearing their potential, if not unlikely, entry into my world.
Well, that's probably just smart though. You know, it's sensible to be scared of things that are scary.
Yeah.
It's when you're scared of things that aren't scary that's the problem.
And that's when you need to seek medical assistance.
Exactly. So this film is very long, it's worth saying. It's like a long one.
Big time.
It's a big time long one. It's lots of stuff happens, and it's also one which has like quite a lot of tonal shifts in it, I think. Would you say that's fair to say?
I think so.
The starting point where there's the high school atmosphere going on.
Mm-hmm.
There's lots of relationships that are built up in the first part that then kind of all just sort of very very quickly drop away the second that they're sent out into the military area, into the war zone, which I think is very cool and very clever. You do see that sometimes in war movies, and also like I guess like fantasy. The one that immediately came into my head was in there's a few moments in Game of Thrones where that happens, where there's all this like plot and all this build up towards the battle, and then you get into the battle and it's just messy desperation and people are just like struggling to like even, you know, see or whatever. So yeah, this kind of it has such a powerful impact to do that, because it subverts your expectations of where the movie's going to go. You think that you're paying attention to one thing, but then you realize there's actually something far more serious that you should be worrying about, and all the other stuff that you were thinking about before is completely meaningless. It's very clever to do that, because you kind of go, oh my god, this is so intense, and really puts everything into perspective for you. And I think that's a clever thing to do, but it does make it quite a hard-going watching experience.
Yeah, and it's just a bit like the movie starts and it's like, hey, high school kids who want to kiss each other but don't know how, who are trying to win the football tournament and also become citizens because it's the future. But it's fine because they're teenagers. And then within like 20 minutes, aside from all the killing, they're like saluting each other, and Doogie Howser is like a corporal who understands brains, and you know it's almost like, I mean, not much time passes, but it's almost like they just are like, oh yeah, remember when you were high school kids and friends? You don't know each other anymore, right? Other than Johnny Rico, who's still super in love with the fighter pilot, but it's a bit like different movies shoved together. But I think I understand what this movie was about. And here's what I think this movie was about. I'm going to hit you with a hot take. All right, you ready?
I'm ready.
It's a satire. It's just a satirical movie. This movie is about how war is bad and how it makes people and nations do crazy things.
So I kind of looked into this a little bit.
Oh, yeah?
Into the history of this film.
Nice.
When it first came out, it had really negative reviews.
Yeah, I read that too. People hated it. Which
is interesting. And I wonder if there was an element to which maybe a lot of people who watched it didn't get the satire.
They didn't get it.
It's also kind of, I think, aged well. I certainly sort of thought from a retroactive perspective, I think it's very clever in what it's parodying. But yeah, it's very kind of military, the military glamorization, which we still see in a lot of movies, particularly if you think about all of the Marvel movies, for example, which, full disclosure, I enjoy a lot. But there is a lot of...
So do I, but you can't watch Captain America without thinking, maybe I do want to go to war, right? Right? I'm with you, Cap.
It's very glamorized, dressed up military propaganda in a lot of ways. And it's the kind of, jingoism being sort of shown in a very extreme format. And a lot of the stuff that it's exploring, like young people being essentially brainwashed into believing that there's some higher purpose and reason why they should go and be cannon fodder and just, go to some remote place to just be gunned down. It's very relevant to a lot of 20th century history. But what's clever is that we're seeing white, blonde, beautiful, butt-chinned Americans in the 90s, these high school teens that we are used to seeing in all of these other 90s movies that we've watched. And they are being put in this horrendous position. And I think that makes it quite powerful, actually.
Yeah.
Because it really hits home. I think for the audience, there would have been a different association at the time for that sort of character and sort of human than they would have had with the sort of people that they would have actually seen in war movies. Like there's that xenophobic element to, oh, well, they aren't like me, so it's okay for them to go and do this. Whereas seeing people like you going to war makes it so much more real, I think, even though it's a sci-fi.
Yeah.
They also changed the so this hashtag movie was based on a book, and in the original book, they actually the main character Johnny Rico was is he Argentinian descent? Well, yeah, he's from Buenos Aires.
What? He wasn't. Hang on. The original Johnny Rico wasn't a just like a white dude from
super white guy. Yeah.
Although he was from Buenos Aires though, but is this is a great, wonderful example of whitewashing. Well done, everybody. Well done.
Well, but here's the thing, though. I think this is interesting. I think it could be slightly reducing it to just call it whitewashing. However, I'm certainly, I don't want to be the definitive indicator on that. Yeah. So that essentially in the book, he's called Juan Rico, and he's Argentinian.
Juan Rico.
And then he in the film he's a blonde-haired, blue-eyed white guy,
like the Aryan nation.
Well, so yeah, so the essentially like the
because hashtag Nazis.
So that when the actor was asked about it, he said that he thought it was that his character was the descendant of exiled Germans, because this is it's supposed to be set in the future of our world.
Right.
So he thought that it could have been that he has his German descent because Argentina was like a hiding place for Germans after World War II. So that was his in-world justification for doing it. I think, but like I said, I think there is some. I think it does add to the satire that he's like a white American character, because he's almost like Ken or Action Man
or G.I. Joe or whatever,
G.I. Joe or whatever, right? Yeah. So it's like that character, that heroic character, the Captain American character, we have, and well, Northern American audience watching this film in 1997 would have had this built-up ideal of what that character was like and what their hero's journey would be, to then just be thrown into this bloody, pointless, fruitless battle against these massive, sharp, nameless, faceless monsters.
So sharp.
Is like, I think it does. It potentially changes the message. Although obviously, as we've learnt from the last 20 years since this movie came out, it's not great to erase a character who's not a white American if there's the opportunity to. So yeah, it's kind of a double-edged thing there. I think it's interesting, but potentially not entirely justifiable.
Totally. Here's my question for you. Hot take. I'm ready for a hot take. Because this movie is a satire. We know it's satirical. We know it's like, the whole thing about war, and it's got a jingoism, vibe to it, right? And it's sci-fi. And there's the elements of World War II. It's all over the map, in a war way. The thing that we didn't know was, why are the bugs bad? Why are we fighting the bugs? Why we kill bugs? We kill bugs. But why we kill bugs? My question for you, Emma, because you are a film person, You make films, you study films, you write films, you watch films, and very much I imagine you cut you open and you bleed films, right? Why didn't they tell us why the bugs were bad? Was that on purpose for satire or bad writing?
What do you think?
What do I think?
I'm going to answer your question with a question.
It's a classic. That's a classic tactic. Here's a question. Spin it around, right? I wasn't prepared for that. Why do I think? Because satire and the bugs are actually probably really nice people, but nice bug people. They're nice bugs. They look sharp, but they're actually soft. You know what I mean? You don't see them at night. You don't see them tucking their bug kids into bed and reading bug stories. Like one bug, two bug, red bug, blue bug, for example, and also everybody's favorite, the bug in the hat. But all you get
green eggs and bugs.
Green eggs and bugs. Exactly. Winnie the Bug. And Christopher Rob Bug. You know when Tigger is bouncing along and through the 100-acre woods and he's the same, but he also has all these sharp claws? You know?
Shall I say something smart now?
Right? Right? The most wonderful thing about Tiggers is Tiggers are sharp and scary. They're covered in scales and pokies, and they're also orange and hairy. But the most wonderful thing about Tiggers is there's millions of them, and they're coming towards you with their sharp fangs.
Hey, I'm interested now. That's a whole different horror film. Thousands and thousands of Tiggers all coming at you. Boing, 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 boing.
Oh, fucker. That's a different guy. You know what
I'm Rabbit, and I'm just surrounded by... isn't that one of them that Rabbit is like surrounded by like loads of Tiggers and he's like hates it?
It's a good plot for the show, and also Rabbit would be like, worried about his carrots being eaten, With the bugs, did they not tell us? Did they tell us did they not tell us why the bugs were bad on purpose?
My answer is threefold.
Your answers are always threefold. Continue.
Well, I never, I appreciate the complexity of life, and I don't think that a single answer is ever enough to fully answer a question. I think that the in-universe given reason why they're killing the bugs is because they're trying to kill us. That was my reading of what they were saying.
They did destroy
we have to
Buenos
defend
Aires.
Ourselves. Exactly. Yeah, we need to kill them before they kill us. The second part of my answer is, I think that the film commentary, so the analysis that part of the film is giving, or there's what happens in the story, and then there's what the story is trying to tell you, right? And I think what the story is trying to tell you is that when people go to war, there is a lot of that historically has been a lot of propaganda and spin about what the other side is like.
Yeah.
So that's like a common thing to, there's like nicknames like the Jerrys in the Second World War, wasn't it? And the cultural stereotypes and often racist stereotypes that are built up around the other side, whatever they may be. Like McCarthyism, for example, that's all that really wasn't it? It was just red is bad. Hence why they call it the Red Scare. So I think that there's an interesting kind of thing there about making up this villain, which is essentially just things that are bad. The bugs, we don't see anything, like all they are is killing machines. There's nothing beyond that. And you do see that in lots of action films. It's like, oh, we've got to go and kill this threat, and they are just things that are death machines, and we need to just destroy them, and that's it.
Yeah.
But in this one, it was slightly more interesting because they were actually being sold a reason to do it, which was you need to defend your society so that you can become a citizen rather than a civilian.
Right.
And they didn't explain what it was, and I don't think they needed to explain, but they did say that being a citizen gets you perks.
It's easier to have a baby, apparently, if you're a citizen.
Right? Yeah. So, like, whatever you do, it's easier if you have been
Right,
in the military,
right,
which
right.
is a thing which exists in some countries still. So the point being, it doesn't matter who you're fighting. It just matters why. It just matters what you're having for yourself. It's a selfish thing to go to war. And that's why this is like an ultimate right-wing society. You are going to kill something. Doesn't matter what it is. It's a big sharp bug, so that you can then have a nicer life. Which I think is a commentary on capitalist society, American society. The third part of my answer.
Oh, right. The third part.
is after 50 episodes, I'm surprised you still haven't got this yet. My stance is always there is no right answer. Films are open to interpretation. It's all about what you read from the story. So to some, if you're going like, oh, why did this happen? It's like, well, what did you think happened? And that's important. And whether or not the strength of that message that the filmmakers was trying to make came across to you or not is also useful to understand.
Yeah. Why did
So that's my answer.
why did Josie Grossi go back to high school, right? To prove that she was actually more confident than she thought she was.
Because it was a commentary on right-wing politics. That's why.
That's why.
That's why I read from it
that's
anyway.
why.
So.
That's why. Exactly. Yeah. Hey, no. I think all prongs of your your 3-pronged approach spot on. I guess I don't know. I just sort of feel like if I see a movie about war, I want to root for somebody, right? Because that helps me gloss over the fact that the people that you're not rooting against, hopefully, are all being killed, right? Because that's what it is. It's a movie.
But that's the thing, isn't it? That's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what military propaganda is all about.
Yeah, but right?
They're saying it's okay that we're killing these people because we're right.
Because we're right and they're wrong.
And we're good and they're wrong.
Tell me about
That's how it works. The interesting thing, I suppose, about this film is like it's almost starting you in one place in terms of it being like a team film, which is what Dan sold it to
Thanks,
us on.
Dan.
Thanks, Dan. And it then takes you to a whole other place. Mm-hmm. And it's a whole other kettle of fish / bugs. How does that make you feel as a viewer?
Unsettled, nervous, a little bit scared. Having said that, there are co-ed showers in this movie, so pros and cons.
Yeah, some of the stuff in terms of like gender progression was quite good in this world.
Totally.
There's a just to bring in an alternate film reference for a film that's I think has done that really well, where you are taken to a very unexpected place tonally and in terms of the genre.
Yep.
Have you seen Parasite?
No, but this is weird. Somebody today told me to watch that movie. Is that weird?
Oh, that's that thing.
Is
What's
that
it called?
weird?
There's an effect, isn't there, where you hear about one thing once and then you keep hearing about it.
It's called the butterfly effect, right? It's like if you
is that what it is?
You go back in time and you step on a dinosaur and then little waves and then all of a sudden, you've got gills instead of breathing. It's not called that. It's in the zeitgeist. Right. It's something that's in the air, right? You can feel it in the air tonight. Oh, Lord.
I don't know who this person was. I'm sure they're great. I'm going to potentially counteract them and say I don't think you should watch it.
I don't want to watch it. Somebody just told me to watch it.
Yeah, I don't think. But this is the thing, isn't it? People say you should watch it when what they mean is I thought it was good. I thought it was great. I don't think you should watch it.
Thank you. This is what we should be saying. Hello, fellow human. I thought this thing was good. Whether you like it or not is your decision because you are your own human.
Yeah.
You're your own life. Choose your own adventure. Should you choose to watch this piece of content and you don't like it, no offense, because I'm not you and you're not me.
And also, a recommendation is a precious thing. You and I know this better than anyone. I like to think that, well, apart from this whole podcast and all the films we watch on the podcast,
apart from the 50 movies,
apart from the 50 movies that you've made me watch for this film, and most of which I've hated, outside of that, And maybe potentially
Solid.
this is how we've ended up in this situation. I think we have a very healthy relationship around recommendations, which is that we do it very sparingly.
Yes.
Only when it's like an absolute certainty. I know for certain, will definitely like this thing. And let me just say, if you recommend something to me, I will watch it because I trust that you are being correct. Whereas some people would be like, you should watch the thing. And I'm like,
no, I shouldn't.
No.
Nope.
I'm sorry, you have not built up the reputation with me for me to trust that this is a good, solid recommendation. And if you recommend me something and I don't like it,
yeah,
I'm never speaking to you ever again.
Yeah, you're already you're hanging on the bottom rung of this ladder of recommendation. And you know what? You are very much like Luke Skywalker in the middle Star Wars, the originals. You're hanging with one hand, waiting for your friends to pick you up in the sky planet, Sky City. And if you recommend another bad movie to me, you're going to fall to your death one-handed, Luke Skywalker. And that is canon. That's really nice of you to say. Thank you. I feel the same way about you. You know, I'll recommend you things. You know what happens most of the time, right? This is a bit like, looking behind the curtain and also is irrelevant to people who don't know us. But it's our podcast. So we can do whatever we want,
We can do whatever we want.
What are you going to do?
You.
Oh, come
screw
on.
You.
Oh, jump out. Hey, jump out of your
this is
podcast.
episode 50. If you're still here, then,
Yeah, come and get me. Come at me, bro. Or whoever you are, right? Here's the thing. Almost all the time when I recommend a thing to you or you recommend a thing to me, here's what I think.
You've already seen it.
Usually we've already seen it.
Yeah,
right?
I've already seen it.
Hey, thanks to Dan for sending us a suggestion of a movie we should do for Plot Twisters Pod. We would love to hear your suggestions. Do you think there's a movie that we should have covered that we haven't yet? Is there a movie or a genre of a different time era that you think we should do? Send us a suggestion. You can do that at Plot Twisters Pod on the social medias. So Emma.
Hello.
How do you want to twist this thing?
Well, I was thinking we could do a classic.
Huh? A classic you and me.
Which we can't do aliens because it's already aliens. So
yeah. What? The
right?
opposite of aliens, which is
the opposite of aliens.
Humans.
Oh, they're secretly people in bug disguises. No, that's too sad. That's too brutal.
Why? No. Pause
Because
for us.
because they're killing people and they're real people. That's just a war movie.
Well, but isn't it more satirical to reveal that people are more inclined to kill something that they don't understand, and then they take off their helmets, and then we realize that they're just people, and then they all maybe resolve their issues and hold hands and sing a song.
Kumbaya, my lord. Kumbaya. Oh, I think that's too sad. I think that's too sad and brutal.
Okay, all right. Reverse it. All of these people, including Johnny Rico, they rip off their masks and they're bugs on the inside.
They're bugs on the inside.
Bugs v
Oh,
bugs.
that's kind of fun. But it's kind of Men in Black, isn't it? It's like you were secretly the bug the whole time. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What about, we've got the 4 characters, right? We've got Johnny, Carmen, Dizzy, Ace, and Carl. Now, these 5 kids, they go to their prom, they do all their high school stuff, they have all their drama, and then they get sent off in a ship to the planet. Here's what I'm thinking.
They don't make it to the planet?
They never get there?
Yeah, why don't they get there? Did they shoot it wrong and they end up...
Well, no, I was thinking because of drama, because of some personal drama.
My God.
And we'd have to...
Yeah.
We'd have to slightly dial down the influence that the military has upon them in the sense that they can just say, no, you have to go. I don't care about your girlfriend, Johnny. But there's personal drama that gets in the way.
Imagine this. They get sent to the planet and the ship is heading towards it, and then it accidentally goes through a very real time hole, a black hole situation, and they're on the other side of the universe, right?
Ooh, it's like a Passengers thing. they're the only people left alive.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And they're still super geared up to kill these bugs because, that's what they've been training for. But because the wormhole has sent them really far away, it's afforded them some time to talk about their issues. And they have some issues. Let's not forget, Johnny Rico is trying to score with both of these soldier ladies. That's a fact.
Everyone's trying to score with these soldier ladies.
They're all beautiful, and so is Johnny Rico, right? He's a handsome man. I understand why.
With a butt chin.
With a butt chin, exactly. What do they call that? A cleft? No, that's a different thing. A butt chin. A chin dimple. A chimple. He's got a chimple.
They all love each other. What's the challenge that makes them have to confront their issues then? What's the exterior challenge? They're out in the spaceship.
Yep.
They're on the other side of the universe.
Yep.
They're all geared up to go to this war that they realize they now can't go to because it's very far away.
They're all so annoyed. They're like, we were going to go to the war and now we're going to miss the war.
I just wanted to go to the war, Mom.
All right.
Why won't you let me go to the war?
Here's what I'm thinking. The wormhole sends them to a very cold part of space. And I know that space is probably cold, right? In fact, it's cold as hell. That's what I've heard, right? Right. Mars ain't a place to raise your kids, right? But what I do know is that maybe they're in a cold place and so they have to double up in the two bunks to stay warm, and both of the women assume that they're gonna.
Okay, this is taking a different direction.
Sexy space movie, right? Imagine this: there's only two bunks, okay, and you got the four of them, the two women and the two men, right?
It's not that kind of podcast.
This is not gonna be that kind of podcast. It's just cheeky for a second, and then we're gonna talk about nerd stuff. It'll be fine, right? Johnny Rico goes, "There's only two bunks. And we'll have to cuddle up for warmth, right?" And then both of the ladies assume that they're gonna cuddle up with Johnny Rico, right? And it gets awkward real fast. And then that's when they start. That's where the conflict comes from. Jaffiel. Here's what I'm thinking. Not only did they go through a wormhole and they're far away from the battle, but quickly they realize that they're heading towards a black hole. They'll be sucked into it forever.
The end.
The end. Johnny Rico's riders, not today. Because they all die. No, I in my head, I like the idea that the four of them, because of a mishap, are heading slowly towards, maybe they're just heading towards the sun, right? And the engines all failed. And it's getting hotter and hotter and hotter. And they have to figure out, they feel like they're going to die, and they have to, come to terms with that, and make amends before they do. But then a frozen space dog saves them. Woof, woof, lick, lick, get out of the way. Woof, woof, lick, 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 get out of the way, right? I'm a space dog.
All right. They're in the spaceship.
Yes.
And it's like there's the five of them, but there's also like the other members of the spaceship are still there. Like the other staff is all still there as well, because it's a big ship with a lot of people on, right?
Right.
They get sucked through this black hole. They appear on the other side of the universe. What they didn't know was that one brain bug, and I'm thinking like it's got like a I don't know, there's like a tiny baby one, so it's small, so you don't know it's there, right? That got into the ship.
Yes, through a little exhaust hole, and it's in the ship.
So it traveled with them to the other side of the universe.
Right.
And it gets into, let's just adjust it so it's kind of less gory and there's no like stabbing in the head. It just like, I don't know, it just like goes in your ear or something. It just like gets into your ear and then
still
converts
bad.
You. All right, it just
but I'm fine with it.
It like gets into your pocket and it just sits in your pocket, a little bug in your pocket. Is that okay?
It's a little pocket bug that sits with you.
Yeah.
It doesn't enter any part of your body. It's just your little pocket
Stays outside,
buddy.
But it does control your brain.
Does it go into your the little coin pocket?
Little coin pocket.
Little coin pocket buddy?
Little cute bug, yeah.
Yeah.
But it very much does control your brain. Has been
yeah.
Who does it get? Do you think? Who does it get first? It probably has to get like a minor character first.
The guy who's Gary Busey's son.
Cool.
with the guy with the teeth.
Ace.
Ace.
So he's got the pocket bug, and he goes into the place where they're all discussing about how they've just traveled to the other side of the world, other side of the universe. Sorry, not
Right.
world. And they're all like, "What do we do? What do we do? We've got to get back." What does he say? What does Ace say? Buggy Ace.
Yeah, he goes, "We don't need to get back.
It's fine.
We'll be fine. Let me just open the windows a little bit and get some fresh air into this ship."
What if it was the opposite? What if they were all like, we landed on this lovely planet where there's water and there's trees, and we could stay here and repopulate the Earth. We could have a wonderful, wonderful life very far away from this terrible, terrible war. But Ace Bug Guy is like, no, we should go back. We should definitely go back.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because you definitely should go back.
And then it's kind of, so what it is it's kind of about how it's like a bottle episode, right? It's these like, let's say like 20 characters with 5 main characters all in this ship having this discussion, and it's kind of like a 12 Angry Men situation where one of them starts as the bug guy in the juror number, whichever, is it like juror number 7 or whatever, the guy who's like, no, he's not guilty. But through time, the bug slowly infects every single person.
Right.
So eventually it's just like a hive mind, and they all eventually decide we need to go back. We need to try and go back through the black hole.
Yes.
We don't need to stay here and repopulate the Earth and live on this lovely planet. We need to go back. But there's one person left. Johnny Rico is the last one who's not been bug-minded, who's like, he's just kind of, I don't know, is he convinced through conversation, or does he have to kill everyone and then live on his own on a planet on the other side of the universe forever?
I feel like Johnny Rico, because he's such a committed soldier, and also not an independent thinker, would probably at this point steer the ship directly into the sun.
Sure. And what it is it's a commentary.
I know that's harsh, but that's what he would do.
Yeah. It's a commentary on social media echo chambers.
Right, exactly.
Everyone's just agreeing with each other, and then they drive into the sun.
And
Amazing.
then on the news, there's a news article which goes, "Oh, Johnny Rico and his ship crashed into the sun today, but it's fine because we've deployed more soldiers towards the bug planet." And the ending is the same. The bugs keep going, and it's the same.
Yeah, it's all pointless.
But what we've learned is, at the very least, there was a moment of choice, and there was no choice in the original movie, but in this movie there was a moment of choice where they could have subverted that military narrative. They could have challenged the big brother. They could have stopped the war. But because they've been so well trained and delusioned, and the propaganda has worked, good old Mr. America / Mr. Buenos Aires decided, rather than free thinking, rather than free speech, and rather than challenging the things around him, to steer that spaceship straight into the sun, because it's easier to follow than it is to lead. Am I right, everybody? Or also maybe, Johnny Rico wasn't actually that good of a dude. Everything of that, he's just some guy.
No, he's a bad guy.
He's just a bad
He's just
guy.
some guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
And maybe Neil Patrick Harris was a good guy.
I've got a new idea.
Okay.
Scrap all of that.
Scrap
Here's what
all
the
of it.
idea
Okay,
is.
fine.
The film is kind of the same, but there's just one shot in the middle of the film where you see like 7 different squadrons.
Right.
All of them are being led by a Johnny Rico type doing some emotional speech like at the same time, almost following a template. And then they've all got the same like best friend who's there to support them, go through this, be there by their side. And then they've all got this like the same slightly different version of the nemesis. Who's kind of like talking them down, but then comes around the end, and they've all got the same mentor figure who didn't believe in them, and it's all identical. They've all got like slightly different haircuts and noses or whatever, but they're all running towards these bugs at the same time, and it's like 7 different protagonists of different movies that happen to all be in the same place at the same time, and then they all die at the bugs' hands. It's kind of like Avengers Endgame.
That's so complicated and yet so What's the word?
Brilliant.
That's not the word I was thinking of.
Incredible satire.
Also not that. There's a different word. Let's go with wild. Yeah, no, that's the end. And it will cost you $7 billion to produce.
Yeah.
But it'll be worth it. You know why? Because everyone who's anyone wants to go see a film that ends with 7 different people simultaneously confronting their own nemesis, Bug.
Yeah.
Now that is a sharp ending. Am I right?
And then it just ends and it just says everyone's the main character in the movie.
You're Johnny Rico and also the Bug. Yeah. No, I am all in to that. But actually, you know what I'm even more into? I'm into rating this movie. Emma, I would love to know on a scale of 1 to 5 space meals, how many space meals would you give this space movie, Starship Troopers?
About space.
About space.
I think this one is a 4 for me. It's not a 5 because of all the death and the dying and the bugs and the exploding and the violence. But I enjoyed it and I thought it was interesting and it made me think. And that's what I like from a film. I like to be challenged.
Yeah. Being challenged and thinking is a good thing, right?
Yes. How about you?
I give it a 2. It's too bloody. It's too stabby, and the bugs were way too sharp. Sorry, Dan. Sorry, people in Starship Troopers. Sorry, film in general. You know what I don't want to see in a movie? Bugs stabbing me. Not me, but, it felt like me at times. It was too stabby. It was too bloody. I didn't like it. But I do like satire. So it lost 3 points for blood, but it got 2 points for satirical content. Because it's what makes me tick. So two space meals, straight up. In the end, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls and bugs of all types, here's what we've learned. War is bad. People are often bad. Bugs, they might be bad, they might be good. We don't know. We do know they're sharp. And we do know that those sharp bits can poke right on through you. And I don't know about you, Emma, but for me, my main takeaway from this film is this. Trust everyone, but also trust no one. Believe in yourself, but also doubt yourself. If they say go to war, you do it. But on the way, you should worry and ask yourself, who are we fighting? And the answer is, inevitably and elegantly, you're probably fighting yourself. Godspeed, everybody. Don't get stabbed by the bugs. What I mean by that is, thanks for listening to this episode of Plot Twisters.
Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts if you have the time.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye. Stab, 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 bug.
Shall I say something smart now?
Right?